Okay, hi, I'm Rich Wright, a PhD student at Cardiff looking at heart rock communities in oak trees. Today, I would like to introduce the Standing Oak Tree Fungus Survey app, which is a data gathering platform designed for a community science project that's having its initial launch today. I started designing and building the app 6 months ago in response to difficulties with field and lab work due to COVID restrictions. It's taken quite a bit of honing and thought, and I now believe that it will be a very valuable tool and one that was worth making whatever the future holds. The oaks must be amongst the UK's most loved trees. Their tangled branches and grand stature have inspired countless folk tales, and they're an iconic part of the British landscape. Oaks are the third most common tree in woodlands and the most common in openly grown settings, totaling more than 120 million individuals. They can live to over 1,000 years, and the UK supports more than 49,000 ancient, veteran and notable oak trees, more than all other European countries combined. As with all trees, fungi play many essential and formative roles in an oak's life. These range from mycorrhizal associations that provide critical nutrients throughout their lives, through to the heart rot fungi that engineer the great hollows that support a rich multitude of biodiversity. Despite a great history of research and observation, much like the empty, mysterious darkness that an oak hollow emits, there are many gaps in our knowledge of the fungi that grow on and with oaks, their interactions and their effect on the life of the tree. Through this community science project, we hope to encourage those of you that have a love and knowledge of oaks and the fungi that inhabit them to assist us by making and recording observations. The project is launching today and is intended to run until 2023, providing us with an up-to-date snapshot of the status of oak-associated fungi and the trees themselves. The large amounts of potential data that we hope to be kindly provided by the community would take an impossible amount of time for a small research team to acquire. So your contribution can really make a difference to this research and our knowledge of these fantastic trees and their fungi. The survey has been developed on the ArcGIS Survey 123 platform, which offers useful integration with mobile devices, including GPS location, taking photos straight into the app, and other features. It operates on any Android or iOS device and is available for PC and Mac as well. It can also be used in any browser, although this lacks some of the user functionality. This community science project is aimed at anyone with the knowledge of trees and the fungi that inhabit them. We openly encourage anyone who can tell a chicken of the woods from a beefsteak to get involved. All we ask is that you are very careful in your identification before submitting a record. The identification of fungi is a skill that requires time to develop, and this may be a limiting factor for some. In an attempt to encourage those less confident to use the app, we have set 2 levels: a simple mode with photographs and a small selection of commonly or easily identifiable fungi, and an expert mode that is built around a list of well-known oak associate species. We have included a guide to the field identification of key oak species in our guidebook, and this will also be available on our website. There are also plenty of technical terms for the features of trees that can be observed. Many of those may be new to field mycologists, less so to arboriculturalists. For each section, we've included images that can be opened easily in the app to help with this. Learning to use the app with confidence and how to submit good records will take a few survey submissions. We hope that we've made the app self-explanatory, and for those parts that require additional assistance, the guidebook, website and project Facebook group will offer the answers. We hope that being involved in this project will be rewarding and enlightening, bringing people closer to our majestic oaks and the weird and wonderful fungi that inhabit them. So what does our survey hope to achieve? The data that we'll be gathering has the potential to give insights into many questions surrounding oaks and their fungi. By comparing with historical record data, we hope to be able to give an up-to-date picture of the distribution of different fungal species and how this may have changed over time. The data will also provide a baseline for future studies. Along with this distribution data, we will also be aiming to answer some of the following questions. Which species of fungi are observed on oak trees between 2020 and 2023? Does the age of a tree, approximated from DBH, influence the likelihood of presence of different species? Are any species changing their expected range? Does altitude affect species presence? Are certain species more likely to be associated with a type of entry or exit point? What's the variation in height of fruiting in each species? And are trees that have undergone forms of humid management, like pollarding or coppicing, more likely to have observable fungal fruit bodies present? There are likely many more questions that we will be able to address with this data set. We will be monitoring and exploring the data throughout the 3-year period, and we'll use our findings to shape new lines of inquiry and potentially make alterations to the app if needed. Alongside the scientific output of this project, we hope to bring people closer to these remarkable trees and their fungal allies, and to raise awareness of their importance. We hope that everyone involved will learn new things and that the outputs will go on to help with protecting these amazing organisms. So what will you need? We've aimed to keep the requirements for contributing data to this survey as simple as possible. The key items required are a mobile device with a camera. Alternatively, you can record with a notebook and camera in the field, and then upload the data through an internet browser. Mobile data, internet connection or Wi-Fi is required for uploading surveys. To make accurate records, a mobile device with GPS is preferable. This allows the capture of location and images in the field directly into the app. There are a few other little bits of additional kit that are not essential but can improve the quality of your records. A 10-meter surveyor's tape, for example, helps you take accurate measurements of the girth. A coin or small ruler for placing in photographs next to fungal fruit bodies can help provide scale. And if you're unsure of your IDs, then a good field guide to fungi is great for clarifying. So during our test period, we found that submitting a record takes around 5 to 15 minutes per tree, depending on the number of species of fungi present. The greater the number of fungi, the longer it can take. For those that have the skills to work with fungi that are more difficult to identify, which will often require microscopic examination, the time can obviously be much greater. We're as interested in the common and easily identifiable fungi as we are in the under-recorded and unusual species. We're very grateful for any contribution you feel able to make. So, where and when to look for oaks and fungi? Oak trees can be found in almost all parts of the UK in urban and rural situations. Gathering information on oaks and their fungi in a diverse range of habitats and geographical locations will help us to build a better picture of how they're interacting in different scenarios. Many hedgerows, parks, fields and woodlands host oak trees of all ages, from tender saplings to gnarled ancient giants. We're interested in any of them that have observable fungi on, in or around them. This survey will focus on standing oaks only, both dead and alive. This is because we're particularly interested in the communities of fungi that affect the tree while it is standing and the additional microhabitats this creates. Many of these habitats are retained for some time after a tree dies if it remains standing, but things get a lot more complex and less clear in felled trees, which would require a whole other project in its own right. Observations of fungi on oak trees can be made all year round. Most fungi have their own season, which means for us to capture a snapshot of current diversity will require records throughout the year. Some fungi will produce rapidly growing fruit bodies that will disappear in a few days. Others, like many of the bracket fungi that can rot heartwood, have perennial fruit bodies that can be present for several years. Whether on a wintry walk in the woods or coming home with the shopping through the park, there will be the opportunity to observe fungi in action on oaks. Once you start to notice oaks in the landscape, it doesn't take long to find one that has some form of fungus present. We'd be delighted to hear about it when you do. So that's about it for me. I would just like to say many thanks to the team of early testers that helped me with this. Their comments and suggestions have greatly improved the app. And also to David Humphreys and Louise Gathercole for supplying difficult to find photos that have helped completion. Big thanks to our funders and partners that have made all of this possible, and special thanks to Lynn Boddy and the team at Cardiff for their ongoing support and confidence. If you'd like to give the app a try, you can enter this URL or use this QR code now. Our website is under construction, but the same links can also be found there. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope some of you will be interested in getting involved.